back to the David67 Celtic News YouTube channel. Today's video going to be updating on a few of the potential transfer targets and also some very interesting news regarding the resurrection of the European Super League, which was first proposed in 2021 and then kind of disappeared, but apparently there have been ongoing legal battles which have just been resolved in the European courts. I'll start with the Celtic transfer news, and then we'll finish off with a wee chat regarding the European Super League and what the implications are that for Celtic and for Rangers, as they're probably involved also. So, no definite progress with any of the incoming transfers, although some very interesting news coming out of three of the clubs who we are said to be in negotiations with, or at least inquiries with, regarding a third striker to tide us over for when O and Kyogo and Maeda are all very likely away for 5 or 6 weeks in the start of 2024. Starting with Matthias Kiesgarden, Brøndby have said that it's going to take a very large bid to get Kiesgarden away from Brøndby. And it looks very much like they're saying that they really have no intention of selling Kiesgarden at this time, as they are in a three-way battle for the Danish League Championship, which of course would then potentially get them into the revised Champions League structure in future years. I think that's always something to remember when we're criticising the board for not being ambitious enough or not shelling out enough money, is that just like Celtic, who turned down big bids for Matt O'Reilly and pushed away any kind of interest from the English Premier League clubs in Hatate, Maeda and Kyogo, where reportedly there were multiple inquiries in the summer transfer window 2023 for the three Japanese stars, but Celtic said we're not selling them at any price, and then rewarded all three with nice big long contracts. And similarly, Celtic turned down several bids from England and a couple of bids from Italy for Matt O'Reilly, and then signed him again on a nice big long extended increased contract as well. I think Brøndby are trying to price themselves out the market to chase away any thoughts of Celtic or Schalke or any of the other teams coming for him, and so it may well come down to Kiesgarden being a potential transfer target next summer, at the start of the next Danish season, rather than seeing him coming in the winter window. Two potential other targets Celtic are said to be linked with: Lawrence Shankland, the Hearts captain. Hearts are also saying they have no intention of selling Shankland, although a tip figure of £5 million has been bandied about as maybe being an offer that they couldn't refuse. I think Shankland seems more keen to go to Rangers rather than come to Celtic. But we'll need to see what happens as things transpire. Shankland obviously has a good record of scoring in Scottish football and has been successful playing for Scotland internationally as well, such as the goal against Georgia that equalised things a few weeks ago. The other player, of course, linked to Celtic is Bojan Miovski, the North Macedonian striker playing for Aberdeen in his second season, and Miovski keeps on scoring goals, scoring a goal last night that proved to be the winner for Aberdeen over Livingston. Again, a fee of 4 to 4.5 million has been bandied about as being a fee that Aberdeen might well consider. However, Barry Robson has said he has no intention of letting Miovski go, and certainly with the dual threat of Miovski and Duke up front for Aberdeen, I think Robson would be desperate to keep Miovski as long as he can. And again, I do wonder whether Miovski may be a more realistic target at the end of the season, when Aberdeen may have a chance to have further European football next year, and also a chance to replace Miovski with an alternative. Quite a few people have been popping in thoughts regarding Keithgarden and Shankland and Miovski, and in the poll that we had on the channel a couple of weeks ago, that's still open for those who want to access it. Shankland and Keithgarden were kind of the two main favourites, and quite a number of people were putting forward some other names, one of whom I am going to look into further. A chap called Faris Mumbania, playing for Bodo Glimt in Norway, is recently a Cameroon international and has been scoring a lot of goals in Norwegian football, and does look a very, very good potential target. And so, time allowing later today, I'll do a little scouting video extract and analysis video of Mumbania, as I do think he is a worthwhile potential target for Celtic. Coming from Norwegian football, might well be keen to come to Scotland to step up in his career. But I'll address that later today if time allows in a further video, but we'll definitely come back with a Mumbania scouting video in the next day or two at the very least. The other very interesting news, at least for me, very interesting news, was the decision in the European courts to say that UEFA and FIFA blocking a European Super League is unlawful, and that all the member clubs within the various associations have the right to negotiate who they play and where they play and in what competitions they play. And this looks like it's going to resurrect the European Super League. European Super League first put forward in 2021. It was led by 12 clubs and was initially planned to be a 20 member league, with 15 of those 20 members being permanent members who couldn't be relegated or promoted, and the other 5 places going on merit and qualification from other European leagues to enter that European Super League each season. It does seem that that's been changed in terms of what's being proposed, and I'll come to that in a wee minute or two. However, the European Super League was led by 6 clubs from England: Man United, Man City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham and Chelsea, and from Italy, AC Milan, Inter Milan and Juventus, and from Spain, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid and Barcelona. Several other big European clubs such as Ajax and Bayern Munich were said to be considering joining the European Super League, but quite quickly UEFA and FIFA blocked it going forward, and there was quite a lot of fan anger and protest, particularly in England, regarding this. I think that partly actually was not really fully understanding what the European Super League was going to be, as I think a lot of fans thought it was going to be replacing the English Premier League and replacing the Spanish and German and Italian top leagues. It very much was put forward primarily as an alternative to the Champions League run by UEFA, rather than replacing English Premier League and Serie A, etc. At that time, Celtic and Rangers were said to be under consideration for one of those 5 places, and our chairman, Peter Lawwell, also had been involved in some forms of negotiations regarding that. No mention of whether he's still involved with that group, but he was, as I said, in talks and at various different meetings through UEFA and through European clubs, and Celtic were still being considered to be dining at the top table, metaphorically, at that time. So, as I said, it's been resurrected by the courts, saying that clubs can decide who they play, when they play, and what. And that UEFA and FIFA had no control over clubs' fixtures, etc. And so the European Super League is being resurrected, as I said. Rather than a 20-team competition, the plan is now for a 60 or 80-team competition, and with the fixtures being midweek games running throughout the season, home and away, and does seem in many ways quite similar to the new Champions League format that UEFA was putting forward. The plan would be that the 60 or 80 teams would be split into leagues. I would presume leagues of 20 teams, possibly smaller, like 15, etc. And then all these things are still to be negotiated and decided. The league system would be with promotion and relegation, so no team would be in the top division forever and ever and ever. And so there is the prospect of teams getting stronger and stronger and pushing their way up the league system. Celtic and Rangers obviously would be very much teams with massive supports, massive grounds, and all very likely to enter this European Super League, probably initially in one of the lower leagues and then working their way up. And I think there would obviously be massive amounts of TV money, massive amounts of sponsorship money, and also many players would then start looking at coming to Celtic as being a much more prestigious option in moving along their career, particularly if they're playing in one of the countries who is on the periphery of that. And so I think in the long run it would be very good for Celtic if the European Super League did get off the ground. There would be no intention of abolishing the Scottish Premier League or the English Premier League, etc. Although with the midweek fixtures being the plan, there would obviously need to be some moving about of midweek games and League Cup games, etc. To accommodate the European Super League, which might see the season being extended, or things such as the League Cup, Viaplay Cup, as it currently is, although won't be for very much longer, being eliminated or severely changed. So all these things are very much up in the air, but I think in many ways this is a very positive step potentially for Celtic. I think one of the things that has been holding Celtic back in recent years is the low prestige of the Scottish Premiership in terms of European leagues. I think it's become harder and harder to attract top level players from around the world to come to Celtic. And this could be a very positive step for Celtic. And as I said in the past, Peter Lawwell and the Celtic club have been involved on the margins of this project. So we'll need to see how things develop. Probably will take quite a number of years to become fully formed. There is the The difficulty that the English Premier League has very recently negotiated a long-term, multi-billion-pound TV contract, which would either need to get broken or the ESL not starting till after the end of that contract. So, going to be something that we'll need to follow up for the next few months and potentially next few years. But I think it's potentially a very exciting time for Celtic. Last couple of things for today. Some injury updates coming out of Celtic. Hatate and Abada, some very excellent news. It's thought that he is going to be fit, probably to be on the bench for the game against Rangers on the 30th in the Glasgow Derby. A game that's likely to be quite pivotal towards this year's title. Obviously, having Abada on the bench would be a good impact player for that game, bringing him on maybe with 30 minutes to go, and his injection of pace and ability to get into the box for good finishing and creation of goals would be very important. And I think having Palma, Maeda, and Abada all available would make Celtic so much more powerful in an attacking sense, as Palma and Maeda and Abada also all can work back into midfield and defensive roles as and when required. And Maeda and Abada especially have quite a lot of pace to take teams on the break, which may be a factor in the tighter games such as against Rangers, etc., as the season wears on. Hatate is being lined up for a return after the mid-season break, so that would be mid-late January. And as things are, we have a fixture against Bucky Thistle in the Scottish Cup, which would be a perfect way to reintroduce Hatate to football, maybe half an hour or so, just to run out, get his match fitness back into his legs, and then be part of our run towards the Cup and League double to finish off this season. I fully expect that if Celtic can get a couple of good players in, new goalkeeper to replace Hart, a new main striker to go alongside Kyogo and O, and I think Celtic, if we can keep our other players fit and fresh throughout the season, I think we've got every chance of winning the Cup and the League again this year. One other wee piece of news is there's been quite a lot of encouraging noises coming out of Celtic fan groups for all the fans to come together and fully support the team on the 30th, and for that matter in the other three fixtures up to the mid-season break, and for all the 60,000 Celtic fans at Celtic Park on the 30th to be screaming and shouting and fully supporting Celtic towards beating our big rivals, who of course will have no fans at Celtic Park that day, other than the referee and VAR, but we'll not get ourselves into more VAR controversy. And I think Celtic have more than enough quality to win the game fair and square, despite any other interventions from other forces and powers. So, finishes things off for today. As always, if you haven't already, please do click that subscribe button. And as always, delighted to see any comments, thoughts, opinions in the comment section, and I'll reply as quick as I can or address those in a future video. And as I said earlier on, if time allows, I'll also do a wee short video regarding Faris Moumbania to get your opinions on whether you think he's a likely Celtic player in the upcoming transfer window. So for today, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Chat again tomorrow when we'll do some Livingston game previews. And hail, hail!